It is August 2nd, 2019. We're here at 5828 Tulane Street in San Diego, California, 92122. We're going to inspect the main sewer line of the property, and we'll attempt to go through the kitchen and laundry lines as well, which are on the other side of the house. We have two bathrooms that are back to back with each other. We have cast iron pipes that somebody installed, these two 3-inch ABS cleanouts. As we look down this first cleanout, which sweeps back into the house, you can see some standing water in the pipe right here, just a little bit. We'll see if there's a slight misalignment that's causing that water to not drain out. But we'll first go ahead and push through here the system. Go back into the cast iron for the house itself. See, we're having a little bit of difficulty here. They use what's called a sanitary tee, and they're supposed to use what's called a combo fitting. It's a sweeping turn. That's why these cleanouts are so close to each other. So these are not the proper fittings. They'll still work, but it makes it very difficult to get a cable or a camera to make the turn and the bend and the angle you're supposed to. So this was done improperly. Still having trouble getting the camera through here. Okay, there we go. There's our turn finally. So you can see this is the cast iron right at the edge outside the foundation wall of the house. This is all the original pipe here. You don't have far to travel on this line because the bathrooms are just on the other side of this here. Here you can see there's a Y or a T junction that picks up all the fixtures. Here's for the toilet. Here's the other turn on the line. And this is the end of the pipe right here. So you can see we're starting to get buildup. This is where the 2-inch dumps in, and there's the beginning of that. So it's a very short run. Just about 10 feet or so to get back into the house to the beginning of the sewer. So we're now going to go ahead and pull back on this. But the cast iron is all intact, and there's no issues with any of the cast iron there. Small, very minor amounts of scale and buildup of deposits, but pretty much negligible, nothing to be concerned about. Come back out of the line here. Here's our ABS transition. Come back out. So now I'll go ahead and attempt to go from the other clean out that's closer to the house that sweeps away. Again, same type of fitting was used, so it's going to be a little bit difficult possibly to make this turn here to start. Okay, that one went through a little bit easier. Okay, so you can see right there we've got that constant lake or pool of water sitting. So we're using a 1-inch camera, but we have a centering guide on there because we could see this water when we first started, so we added that to bring the camera, lifting it off the pipe. So that water, you can see, never drains out. The pipe was slightly misaligned. You can see on the bottom sides there, you can see actually the wall thickness of the pipe. So the plastic is lower than the cast iron. That's what's creating this little dam where the two pipes meet and hold the water. And then you can see on the left-hand side of the pipe there, looks like one little stringy root or something trying to get through the pipe right there. And then just where the cast iron is a little off, you can see another little tiny one trying to get in. So this hub connection that was used or made here is allowing a little bit of stuff to try to get through. So this may need to be redone, both to correct this offset misalignment, alleviate the standing water in this little lip, because this lip will hold debris that'll snag and possibly lead to stoppages. It's not huge, but it's still not done properly. So we'll jump over that. You can see our camera has to really ride, configure over that. Okay, we're going to actually have to pull back out because our centering guide is going to, even though it's not big, is catching on this lip that was created for this pipe. So we're going to pause the video. Okay, so we're going back into the sewer pipe again here, trying to head out towards the street. We've taken off our centering guide to try to get over that lip. Here's that area. So you can see now without the centering guide, our camera goes kind of somewhat underwater a little bit. Go ahead and try to jump over this. There we go. So we're now jumped over that little assembly. So now in the original 3-inch cast iron pipe here on the other side of this clean out, headed down the driveway. You get a little bit of debris from having to jump over that little dam and that offset. We're going to go ahead and pause the video for a second to go ahead and flush this off. Okay, there we go. So we ran a little bit of water from the garden hose here right next to these clean outs. So we'll now continue down this 3-inch cast iron pipe. You can see right here, so far it looks really good. Again, no real scale or deposits built up inside the pipe. A little bit of standing water on the bottom here. We'll see what we're coming up to that's kind of holding that in place there, not allowing it to drain out. We only ran the hose just for a couple seconds, and again, everything's supposed to have downhill slopes. Unless there's some buildup or a stoppage, none of this water should be hanging out in the system at all. This will lead to the faster deterioration of the cast iron steel pipe, of course, but also lead to stoppages if things aren't flowing down the pipe properly. So let's keep pushing through this, and we'll see if we get to an area or a turn on the line, or even another T-junction that might be causing this to be held up like this. We're still underwater. You can see some white debris and paper there. Okay, so we somewhat come out of that. So as we back up, you can see a bunch of just toilet paper in the line here. I don't see anything else. We'll continue down the line, then we'll try to flush that out and see if at that 20-foot mark there's an issue with the pipe holding all that debris up. Still a little bit of water stinging on the bottom, but it might be what's flushing out as our camera goes through here. Looking a little bit better. Sorry, trying to rinse off our camera lens there by moving it quickly. So everything still looks good. A little bit of buildup on the bottom, but again, nothing severe, nothing that requires any repair or replacement at this time. Okay, here we have the property line clean out. So here's where this horizontal pipe is ending, and it's becoming vertical, and then it's going to become vertical again after we make this downward turn. So we've got concrete everywhere. We'll locate to see if this is under the driveway or under some of the rock or bark bed up front, see if this is exposed, or if not, we'll at least mark where it's at. So this is a hard 90-degree turn. We'll see if this camera is able to make it and continue farther down the pipe. Okay, we made that first turn. We're able to get through the vertical. We're back to the second horizontal here, but we may not be able to continue push that, so we're going to go ahead and run some water down the system. So we're going to pause the video and see if that helps reduce some of the friction to get this farther out. Okay, so we just turned the water on with the hose out front, so we're going to leave the video recording just to show what we're trying to do here, get this through the system. So this cast iron here, we're in the bottom 90. We're now looking across. More than likely within a few feet it might transition to 4-inch and eventually become clay unless the city's redone some of the pipe here. So we'll see if this helps us get out a little bit further. If not, we'll have to try a different camera to see if we can get all the way out. We're going to see water coming by here in a few seconds. Okay, here's our water. Okay, so it's unlikely we're going to be able to push out, and it's pretty common to have this happen when you have two hard degree 90s in such close succession to each other. So this is as far as out we can get from this spot here with this camera. We have another specialty camera. We'll try to see if we can get beyond this point, but what we'll do now is we're going to pull back to that property line clean out to locate that, to see if there is a buried clean out or another one we just missed, and getting close to the sidewalk area. So we'll pull back up this vertical pipe right here, get back to the horizontal right here, and so that vertically coming up, that is the T-junction. That is the original property line clean out. So we'll go ahead and set our camera here and pause the video to locate this. Okay, so we've located this property line clean out, which either has not been brought to surface or is buried enough under the rock bed up front, so it's not accessible for us. So it's about 5 feet before you get to the sidewalk. This horizontal pipe we're in is about 22 inches deep, just under 2 feet deep. We'll mark it with a small little flag denoting that spot in case it ever needs to be accessed. They could dig down to extend this to surface. So we have another specialty camera that we're going to try to get down past this point to confirm the rest of the line is in good shape. So we're going to pause the video and switch cameras. Actually, we're going to pull back here to that 20-foot mark with this camera. We ran all that water. We're going to see if it washed all that debris out of the system here and if it's draining out properly now that we ran quite a bit of water. So here we're coming back up on this spot that had that buildup. Let's double check this. You can see no water in the line right now, so that's good. So you can see little chunks of cast iron right there in the bottom of the pipe right there, some little flakes. So this is probably what had hung up that toilet paper and that other debris. So that's some little pieces of the wall essentially that are flaking apart of the cast iron right there. Now, if these cleanouts were done recently, it could have been from when they cut that off. Otherwise, it's some other little pieces that are currently starting to flake off. You can see on the right-hand side a little piece that is kind of coming up right there. So a little bit of the scaling that's starting to occur and starting to deteriorate there slightly. So that's definitely what hung up that toilet paper and all that debris and caused all that water to be standing in the pipe. So that little chunk is still in the line right there. Take a photo of that. Okay, let's pull back the rest of the way, make sure there's nothing else we didn't see from being underwater. Everything else looks clear there. Okay, so now we're coming back up to that clean out, so we'll go ahead and pause and switch cameras. Okay, so we tried one other camera and it would not make it through, so we're going to give one more attempt by literally taping a couple together, see if we can get a smaller camera to finagle through, just to make sure. So this is just the main line. We're going to push through this quickly. We've already seen all this before. We're going to get out to the actual clean out here, about another 10 feet or so. Okay, so here's the clean out. So here's our turn on the line. Now we've gone down, pushed through this. Now this is where we're having trouble getting by because of the two 90s in a row, but we want to make sure we don't have roots or anything else in the system beyond this point because these clean outs were installed for some reason, we assume. So we're going to go ahead and run some water back down through the system right now, see if this helps get the camera by this spot. So it's going to take a few seconds for the water to catch up on the line, but we'll leave the camera running. So again, right now we're at the very bottom under the property line clean out, which we have noted with a green flag on the front area, 5 feet in front of the sidewalk. So this is essentially right about 5 feet in front of the sidewalk. You can see we're still in original cast iron pipe. This will probably run for a little bit longer and then should transition to either clay, concrete, or possibly greenbelt PVC pipe if the city had redone their section, but we don't believe they've redone this street. Okay, here's our water. We'll give this one last attempt to try to get through here. Okay, so you can see all the roots on the line, so we were able to get through with this little setup, and that's why the clean outs were installed, is there's roots in the system. So we're going to go ahead, and this is as far as we can push out right here, but we're in the street. So we're going to shut the water off and pause the video while this water stops. Okay, so you can see the water slowing down. So we are in 4-inch clay pipe. We're going to back up here now that we could not get any further out down the line. Well, actually get a few feet here. Here we go. Okay, here's a big root intrusion here. I didn't think we were going to be able to push anymore, but we were. So here we have roots intruding. We're going to go ahead and pause and locate. Okay, so we've located these roots, as you can see, in this 4-inch clay pipe. They're blocking about 30% of the pipe. This is a couple feet past the curb into the street. We've marked it with a green paint dot. We're going to go ahead and pull back on the lines here. Okay, here's our next intrusion at the next hub. This is going to be about 4 feet back. So you can see here the roots are intruding, and they're blocking about 25% of the pipe here. So we're going to go ahead and pause and locate this on the property. Okay, so we've gone ahead and located this. This is about 2 feet before you get to the curb. The pipe is a little under 5 feet deep, so we're not going to pull back. So that's the second intrusion we can see. Now again, we couldn't get out further than the last one, so there could be 1 or 2 more into the middle of the street. But we'll keep pulling back, see if there's any others here. Okay, here's our third root intrusion that we found. This is blocking approximately about 30% of the pipe, maybe even 35% of the pipe. So we're going to go ahead and pause and locate this. Okay, so this third root intrusion that we're backing up on here is under the city sidewalk. And again, the pipe is a little under 5 feet deep. We'll pull back and see if there's any more. Nope, here's our cast iron transition under the city sidewalk. Coming across this horizontal cast iron we couldn't get across earlier with the other 2 cameras. So it looks okay. There's no roots in the cast iron itself. It's just a clay pipe. And now we're coming back up the vertical. You can see the water droplets coming off and back to that property line clean out. So that's what needs to be accessed to clean up this line and maintain it. So we're going to pause the video and see if we can get through the laundry kitchen line, which we do have a clean out for. If it's not too clogged up with debris. Okay, we're here on the kitchen side of the house. We do have a 2-inch clean out that was extended from the cast iron here to a little ABS clean out tee. We don't know if we're going to be able to get through this, but we'll go ahead and give it a quick attempt here just to see if we can get through this line here and show this line working or not. So it looks like the line is open here, so we do have a pretty good view. It's not going to be real clear with a very small camera, but we're just checking to make sure there's nothing severely wrong with the pipe. And so we can see that everything is quite open right now, at least. And this is the kitchen line, and it's going to junction into the laundry. So you can see we're kind of scraping debris in and out. We might use our image, but we're just going to give this a quick attempt. Just make sure there's nothing really severe, any objects caught in the line like we've seen at other properties in the past. Everything looks really good so far on this line. We're able to get it out. A little bit of buildup and debris there. The camera's still moving forward, just blocked with a little bit of grease or food and debris. Okay, and looks like we're into the main sewer here already. So this line is clear and open. So this laundry and kitchen line, other than just standard maintenance, it's going to require snaking over time with use, is okay and completely functional. So that concludes the recording for this property.